Okay, welcome everyone. It's day 3, winter workshops. How are you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Today, we have a special speaker, but first, uh, wait, who do we have? Our presenter?
Yes, Janita's here and Gio is here.
Okay, well, I'll let Yanira take over.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to introduce our next presenter. He is an author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of 2020 Living Inc., which helps people to maximize their full potential by creating visions for a better tomorrow that they can live into. His work has been featured in Huffington Post, VET, and also being acknowledged by New York City Councilman's Office. He is spoken all over the nation, from as far west as Washington State to our northeast as Vermont, and many places in between. His work has led him to work with professional organizations such as NBA's Brooklyn Nets, and also working behind the scenes with several multi, multi-million dollars enterprises. When he's not speaking, he's helping others craft their expertise by becoming author. He's worked on 48 self-published books in just the last few years. And when he's done, you can find him watching reruns of House Hunter with his wife, who every day make him say thank you to God for having her as his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a true honor for me to introduce to you the one and only Gio Derice.
You myself. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I've never heard of it before. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. It's always good to be with family, seeing all these amazing faces in here. Andre, I saw you wanted some credit for that flyer. I appreciate it. You did an amazing job with that flyer. Just wanted to make sure you got the shout out. Janira, thank you so much for reading that intro. I appreciate you just reaching out to me. One of the things I want to just say real quickly is that oftentimes little things like being able to have somebody pronounce your name correctly makes you feel at home. And so what I loved about her was she sent me a direct message and was like, I just want to make sure that I say your name exactly the way it's supposed to be said. And so I just want to say thank you so much for just taking that extra little step to make sure that the guest feels welcome and at home. So before I get started, this topic, I know you guys have had some amazing presentations. I love the fact that we continue to do these workshops to make sure that you are able to expand as leaders individually and also to be able to make impacts within your teams. I know you've had amazing people that I actually know. So you had a chance to go and speak and hear from Christina, who thought us the whole idea of there's no I in team, but there is an I in leadership, right? Right. So that was really cool. You had Dan, who told you, about dopamine. So that was super cool to go and learn that. I know you had Lila this morning, who talked about mindfulness. So I know there's so much good stuff that we've talked about, and I don't think that what I'm going to share with you today is going to be any different. And then tomorrow, I kind of am opening up for the man, the myth, the legend, Arel Moody is going to be super amazing. So thank you guys so much for being on here. Just wanted to tell you, hold on, let me just make sure I have the ability to do this. Let me tell Tiana, I'm gonna send you a message real quick.
Yeah, let me know whatever you need. I got you. I'm gonna be
you.
working behind the scenes for you.
I love it.
No problem.
Man,
Just let me know also if all of your privileges are enabled. If they're not, I'll enable them for you.
Yeah, can I have the privilege to make someone a co-host for a second? Is that possible?
No, because you're a co-host, so it has to be the main host.
you Jason, can you make
Yeah.
Josue Quiones co-host? I just have a special treat for my family out here in Hostos. So one of the things that I want to talk about, and this idea, the topic that I'm coming from is this topic called self-ish. Let me get one in the chat if you've ever heard the show Black-ish before. Let me get a 1 in the chat. Raise your hand. Jason raised his hand. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard of the TV show Black-ish. I see Vanita said 1. Martha Leon says 1. Who else? Madeline, Makilia, Ria, Abdul. So everybody's seen Black-ish, right? And obviously the show, it talks about a bunch of things in Black culture. And so as I was thinking about this presentation, I'm like, man, I want to do something for leadership. I was talking to some professors. I love to do my research. And one of the professors was like, Gio, leadership is cool, but what we just passed through in 2020, we need something different. And I was like, man, what you need? What you mean? He said, people are struggling with their mental health. Put a 2 in the chat if you would be honest and be like, yo, Gio, you know what? 2020, if me in 2020 would go into an alley, I got a few words, a beat down maybe that I got reserved for 2020. Put a 2 in the chat if that's you. And you're like, yo, 2020 was one. I'm okay forgetting you, right? Junior, Christiana, Zenia, JJ, Andre. I see someone, Janera wrote 22. She's like, I just want to make sure you know that my 2 counts twice, right? So it was a lot. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, man, he was like, Gio, self-care is something that we need to talk about more. And I'll be honest with you. I'll just keep it a buck with you. I'll keep it 100. I was like, I don't really talk about self-care like that. And he said, but that's what the people need. And I said, shucks. And my number one job as a leader, a facilitator, or speaker is to provide exactly what the audience may need, even if it's not necessarily something that I go ahead and say, oh, well, I could easily do this. Because I care about every single person on here. I like, I think it's Martha. How you say Martha or Martha? How you say your name? I see you over here holding a baby and I'm like, oh man, like look at her. She's tuned in. She's tuned in. And
her
then
name
I see
is Martha.
Martha. So Martha's on here on a 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like, I'm coming on these sessions because I want to make sure I get my certificate. I want everybody to know I went to all 8 sessions. So Jason and company send me my certificate, right? But at the same time, she's looking to get better. And so that's the thing that I'm super excited about. And as I thought about it, I'm like, I really care about each and every one of you who are listening to this presentation right now. And if I care and I love you, then when you love somebody, and y'all know the vibes, when you love somebody, y'all will do some stuff y'all never thought y'all would do to show somebody you love them. Cindy's looking at it and she's laughing like I did something yesterday for somebody I loved and I hated it, right? But when you love someone, you would literally come out and say, yo, I'm gonna go, y'all know what I'm talking about. You'll go fishing. You don't even know what a fishing rod look like. You over here, you don't like pets. You can go to PetSmart buying food. Like you'll do anything for someone you love. And I love each and every one of you. And I was like, I'm gonna go and talk about self-ish. But one of the things that I realized about selfish and this whole idea of the different selves that we're going to talk about today is that one of the biggest ones, the one that has over 3 billion search results in Google right now is self-care. If you Google self-care, there are 3 billion search results in Google for self-care. And it's something that everyone talks about. But one of the things that I've realized is a struggle is that we talk about self-care, but I've realized how can we do that if I don't really know me? How can I go and do self-care if I'm not sure what that looks like for me? What do I like? What does self-care mean to me? So we're going to dive into this. This is a presentation unlike any I've ever done before, but I promise you by the end of this time together, you guys are going to walk away. You might just write yourself a love letter. Like, I'm just telling you that right now. You just might write yourself a love letter. You're gonna be like, yo, Gio, I didn't even know I liked me that much. Like, like at the end of this presentation, I need you to fall in love with you. And so that's my goal, because I believe that if you love you, what you do is you give other people permission to love you back. Can I get a 3 in the chat for that one? Like, I see Rhea said, preach. Like, listen, we're gonna have an offering plate at the end, and all the money's going back to Hostos. We're gonna get scholarships and everything, right? So thank you. I see 3s just flooding the chat. Oh my goodness, I see it. How about if you already love yourself? Well, Junior, if you love yourself, we're about to take it to another level. Because here's the cool thing about self-love: there's no graduation. Self-love got doctorates and doctorates on top of that. So Junior, we're gonna go take self-love to another level by the end of this presentation. But one of the things that I wanted to do that was completely different, and I was like, man, when I started thinking about self-care, I had this one gentleman in my mind, guys, and I'm too excited. I had a sneak preview, but I had a gentleman who literally wrote a whole album on self-care. I'm talking about, he was on it before everybody was jumping on it. Now you see everybody got their candles on their Instagram. We got diffusers and essential oils. And we're like, I know self-care. You got the massage on deck. You got the everything now. Listen, I got the massage on deck too. Look at my massage gun. I keep it around my desk. Like, so I get the self-care, but I said, I want someone who can go and do it and be a little bit different. And so I have my friend, an amazing speaker, an amazing performer who's joined me, taking some time out of his work schedule to join us and just start us off before we really dive into this topic with a track from his album. And so JQ, man, if you could unmute yourself. I know you got co-host privileges now. I just want to welcome you. I want to thank you for joining us. Can you guys hear him? Can you say something?
What's going on, everybody? What's up, Hostos?
There he is.
Hey, we can hear him.
Everybody put a 1 in the chat if you can hear him. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear him. I see ones. So guys, listen, I've never done this before. Before I go and give JQ the mic completely for just few moments, I want you to understand something psychologically, because just in case y'all don't know if I love you, I want to make sure y'all understand how deep is my love, right? Okay? Here's the reality. Most people, when they communicate and they get an opportunity to be on a stage like this, to talk to 61 people that's in this room right now, typically what happens is you never want to share the mic. You want to know why? Let me see if anybody can take a guess. Put a guess why you don't want to share the mic. Let me see if somebody get on the first try. Put it in the chat. Why you think that a speaker, a presenter may not want to go and share the mic? Can anybody put it in the chat? Any wild guesses? I'm curious. I want to see what you think. What y'all think? Let me see. Why would someone not want to share the mic? They don't want to deal with another person's technical difficulties. We almost had that. Because they are protagonists. Greed, have a lot to say. Selfishness, because people might get disrupted. One outshine the other. Vania, you better stop reading my notes. That's exactly what it is sometimes, right? What happens is the reason why we don't want to share the mic is, what if I make JQ come on here and he gonna do it? I know, because we had dress rehearsal this morning at 10 o'clock doing this. But what if JQ come on the mic? Not if. When JQ come on the mic and y'all go and y'all start having this little party wherever you are, I could be fearful that, I don't got beats. I ain't got lyrics. What if Cindy come and says, you know what, Gio, bring JQ back. Like, I liked what he did over there. What if Justine goes and says, you know what, Gio, he talking to me. That song resonated with me, Gio. I don't want a speech, I want a song. Like, what happens there? And so the reason why I'm bringing him in is because I understand that there's a bigger purpose. I'm okay if somebody else gets the shine, because I'm not really here for me. I'm here to serve you. And so, JQ, I'm just gonna be quiet for a few moments. I'm gonna let you take it away, man.
Yeah, we gonna just dive right in. Can y'all hear my audio? Are we good?
Yes.
Perfect. So, see, the idea behind self-care is to do something good for yourself, something to work through your challenges and your emotions, but it looks different for everybody, right? And so I'm gonna just ask y'all to tune in real quick and we gonna have fun. Y'all ready? Let's not act like we'll never go through hard times, because that's the first issue to deal with, telling lies to ourselves about our own lives, trying hard to make it look like it's just all highs, fighting to ignore the lows. Then you wonder why pain inside you never goes. It just grows, covered up with pride, a disguise. Feels like everybody knows, no matter how hard you try to hide, and the tears in your eyes always seem to catch you by surprise. It's about time that we realize the need to heal for real, because if not, we live our lives deprived of the real joy that we could feel if it took some time to work through ourselves, make amends, and fully come alive. Self-care is the best care. It's best to work through our mess, yeah. Get it off your chest, yeah. So I lay it all to rest, yeah. This is self-care. Self-care, this is self-care. Self-care, come on. Self-care is the best care. It's best to work through our mess, yeah. Get it off your chest, yeah. So I lay it all to rest, yeah. This is self-care. Let me see your hands. Yeah. Plug it into an outlet and just let it go, because that kind of energy only will explode if you hold onto it for a little too long. Trust it when I tell it to you. I ain't trying to steer you wrong. I've been in that position. Experiences where I'm speaking from. Distance between you, your emotions, and everyone you love. Feel alone on your own, but it's someone you could trust. Except you push them far away when you feel them getting close enough. Ask you how you doing. You give nothing but shoulder shrugs. Yeah. Need a hug. I'm just trying to give you some advice to show you how it's done. Ain't charging nothing for it. You can take it if you want. Let me see them hands, y'all. Hey. Lay it all to rest here. This is self-care. Self-care. This is self-care. Self-care. Self-care is the best care. I love it. Hey. Yeah. So I lay it all to. Hey. Yeah. Gotta be honest with yourself if you want to thrive, because we can look like we alive on the outside, but when we dig deep, feel like we dead inside and really want to cry. That would be the worst way to live our lives. A young man once told me a few words that were wise. Mental pains are invisible. There's more than meets the eye. And just like those that are physical, if you don't treat them right, only thing you guarantee is the effects can multiply. So it's best you treat them, because they don't simply go away. You can't delete them. To ignore them kind of feeds them, and they get worse as we get old. Try to suppress them, but they grow. Just so you know, healthy self-care is the way to go. Self-care is the best care. It's best to work through our mess, yeah. Get it off your chest, yeah. So I lay it all to rest. Hey, this is self-care. Self-care, this is self-care. Self-care, hey, self-care is the best care. It's best to work through our mess, yeah. Get it off your chest, yeah. So I lay it all to rest. Hey, this is self-care. Self-care, this is self-care. Self-care. Yeah. All
That was
right.
fire. Bars.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to y'all. I love the energy. I saw the hands going. I saw the claps going. I love it, man. I love it.
This is the stuff when I'm talking about when we see self-care, it looks different for every single person. And for JQ to be able to go and put into words what we feel and put some music and beats behind it and make some rhymes with it is like so amazing. One of my favorite lines is when you said, when we delete it, right? Remember the line when it said, when you delete the stuff that bothers us. And I think when we talk about these different things, thinking that deleting it makes it go away, and JQ reminds us that deleting it might make it actually grow if we just go ahead and ignore it. So JQ, man, thank you so much. I just want to share, like, give you an opportunity because you've written this stuff. And guys, feel free, continue to flood the chat. I saw the energy. I saw people dancing. I saw people clapping, man. I saw people doing all types of stuff. Like, the energy was crazy. And I love they putting your IG in here. He got a whole album, guys. You could definitely go and do that. But I just want you to talk about self-care just a little bit more before we transition, man.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you, because I think one of the things you said, that came to mind for me right now is y'all witnessed my self-care, right? And so self-care does look different for everybody. For some people, it's music. For me, the project, that song, the entire project was a form of self-care. And I think as of late, you mentioned the I think it was what, 3 billion searches on Google. When you look that up, a lot of it is centered around yoga, meditation, getting nails done, massages, diffusers, and things like that. And I don't want to discourage anybody from those things, because I think those are important tools. I think what's even more crucial is what that's supposed to be a tool for, you know. And so one of the things that I always talk about and I'm a big proponent for, even in the album, is self-care is more of a deeper thing, right? It's centered around healing. It's centered around knowing yourself. It's centered around understanding yourself and what has shaped you to think the way that you do, behave the way that you do, perceive the world the way that you do. It's connected to a lot of things that either we've experienced firsthand or have happened to us or have been told to us. And so who planted the seeds that we've now watered, right? And one of the things that you and I, Gio, we talked about this earlier, right? Is that each and every one of us has something that we tend to struggle with most often, right? We tend to struggle with that. That's something that shows up quite often, whether it's, you know, anxiety, depression, or whether it's self-esteem, self-worth. You're going to talk about all the self, so I don't want to get into that. But whatever that core thing might be, if we don't understand it, it shows up in all these other areas of our life, right? It shows up in school, it shows up at work, it shows up in our family, it shows up in our friendships or our intimate relationships. It even shows up in our leadership opportunities. And so if we don't understand what is at the core root, struggle or challenging us, then we don't really know what we're up against in these areas. And so I just think it's crucial for us to really dig deep within ourselves and to understand ourselves to the extent that we know how it shows up, so that either we're no longer watering seeds that should have never been planted, or we're healing some of the things that we carry it with us, and we're taking off some of the backpacks that perhaps someone put on us and told us to carry that no longer serve us. So I'm just thankful for this opportunity, and I'm excited to know, you know, how this is gonna go, because we felt it. We had the dress rehearsal, you know what I'm saying, and y'all have amazing energy, and so just keep that energy moving forward.
Listen, man, thank you so much again. I appreciate you just taking
Yes.
the time out. Like I said, guys, he's literally in the next few minutes going to turn his chair around, go back to that TV, and go back to work. Literally, he's going to do that just as a favor to me, and knowing how important this was to go and bring together a presentation that would let you understand the value of self-care. He was willing to go ahead and do that to me. So you guys can see in the chat, you can get his album on there, smarturl.com/jselfcare. JQ, thank you for putting that in there, and whoever did that. But please definitely show your support. And thank you so much again, man.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all have a great session. And remember, self-care
Thank
is the best
you.
care.
Self-care is the best care. Absolutely. Right. Listen, guys, this is good. So can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? We're good. We're good.
Yes.
I'll see thumbs up. Perfect. So we're gonna dive right in. I'm glad JQ came on, and as he said, which was super important, is that the one thing that is in common when it comes to the whole idea of self-care is that no matter where it is that we go, we have to bring ourselves wherever we go. Whether it's on the job, whether it's in our classes, whether it's in our families, we have to bring that. And I never really understood what the whole self idea was. And then I had a professor, and his name, we called him Dr. Rob. And Dr. Rob would ask us a question, and he would ask us, guys, I want you to go in, and I'm going to ask this question to you guys, is I want to know, what is the number one disease that every single person has? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, chicken pox? Like, I mean, we all get chicken pox, right? Or something. That was my guess. And he was like, no, we're not talking about chicken pox. I said, well, then what is it? Like, what's the number one disease that we all face? And Junior said, I see cancer. Good guess. Ego. That's a good one. Suzette says self-doubt. Janara says ego. I see self-doubt. I see, you don't know me. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. Depression. Geronimo. Geronimo. I hope I say your name right. Stress. That's another one. What do you guys think it is? Like, I was surprised, and some of you guys are on that alignment. I see fear. I see diabetes. Janelle, I had diabetes too. Not taking care of yourself, says Denise. These are good guesses. Like, I love it. Pride, negligence, anxiety. Like, here's the interesting thing. We all face all these things. And so none of these things are actually wrong. And I love you guys. You guys are just always flooding the chats. I love you guys being on here. Selfishness, growth, overthinking, guilty. Like, I'll raise my hand. I'm guilty of all those things, right? Here's the thing that he told me that blew me away. He shared with me that the number one disease that everyone has is, or will have at some point, is low self-esteem. I said, what? He said, low self-esteem is a disease, and it's the most dangerous disease. When it's not cured, self-esteem, low self-esteem, it is so dangerous, people. Like, self-esteem, when you don't have that, oh my goodness. Now, I want to just, I know that, I wanted to make sure that you understood, like, on what level do self-esteem literally come? And Miriam, how are you? Good afternoon. Welcome. Right? I see Martha says 100%. And so I wanted to go and show you, like, guys, like, what happens when we have low self-esteem? Like, what does that actually look like when we have low self-esteem, right? When you think about this whole idea of, like, self-esteem, you think about somebody who has low self-esteem. Justine says, we stop trying. Denise says, everything goes wrong. Junior says, it's really bad. Denise says, nothing happened. Janelle says, you don't even love yourself. Like, low self-esteem will have somebody, like, literally, you ever, tell me if this, put a 4 in the chat if you ever heard this happen before, where you would say to somebody, wow, you're so beautiful. And they go and say, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. I see 4s flooding the chat, right? You go and say to somebody, yo, you know what, Jared? You're such a smart kid. You're so full of potential. And then all of a sudden, Jared goes and says, really? I'm special? All right, whatever. Okay. Right? Jared goes, no, I'm not. Jared, you're full of potential. You super smart, man. And what low self-esteem will do literally is it will make that compliment almost look like somebody said a curse. You're like, nope, I don't receive it. Low self-esteem. And what ends up happening to somebody who has low self-esteem is we go right into the next thing. I got low self-esteem. So now my doubt, now I'm full of self-doubt. What does that look like? Well, since I got low self-esteem, when somebody goes and says, hey, Deborah, listen, there's an amazing scholarship opportunity that we just received. Jason just got this in the middle of his inbox. As he was looking through his emails real quick, he found an email. He saw an email that says a scholarship is available. And what happens is a person with low self-esteem and self-doubt will go and say, Jason, that's cool, but they always get it. I don't think I could. Self-doubt will have you go and second guess, like Denise says, your potential. Self-doubt you will be the biggest cheerleader for everyone else. You will show up to everyone's event. Somebody come, yo, I'm having a birthday party. Oh, I'm the first one there. Yo, I'm going to go and get my doctorate degree. Oh, I know you could do it, girl. You go and say, hey, I'm going to open up my business. And they're like, you a future CEO. And the minute you go and tell that person that opportunity is also available for you, self-doubt will go and say, not me. I can't do it. You'll start doubting yourself. And the reason why I'm talking about this is, what if the opportunities that we are looking for, doubt is the thing that's getting in the way? And not somebody else's doubt, the doubts of our own. And so when we think about this self-doubting opportunity and we don't think that it's available to us, it leads to another self. It leads to self-sabotage. Put a 5 in the chat if you know somebody who every time they get something good, they find a way to make it bad. Put a 5 in the chat if you know somebody. If you know somebody, right? I see 5s. Martha put a 5. Jessica put a 5. Suzette, right? 5s. Are you sure? You tripping over your own feet. Somebody wrote, are you sure it isn't reality that hits hard even without self-doubt? Here's Junior. The interesting thing is that reality does hit. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, because here's the one thing I want everyone to understand. And I just got to want to make sure I want to say this, because I don't want to miss this, Junior, when you said, the reality is that life will happen to you. No one could have predicted what 2020 was. No one could have predicted that. If you told me on December 31st, 2019, when I had a whole list of goals, that you was going to tell me, oh, Gio, you know that thing you said you're going to travel the country and speak to a bunch of students and stuff? You know what? Right around March 12th, oh, that gonna shut down. I'm like, because of what? They're like, Corona. I said, Corona is a beer. It ain't no Corona gonna stop nobody do nothing. They're like, nah, the coronavirus. I said, what the heck is that? I would have played I would be like, you cue the Cardi B song, coronavirus. Like, I'd be like, yo, what are you talking about? The coronavirus? Like, yeah, that's gonna stop everything. People would go crazy. I'm like, there's no way. But the reality is this. There are things that are going to happen with 100% certainty that we have no control over. There's nothing we can do about those things. However, we do know that something that we don't expect will happen. That's 100% fact. The thing is, if we are able to go, and we're going to talk about this later, understand ourselves better, then our response to these uncertain moments will set us up for success. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes what happens, and somebody wrote the Capitol, we ain't talking about nothing that happened last Wednesday, Chris, right? But the idea of it is this: the certainty that something could come, we need to be certain of who we are no matter what comes. And if we understand who we are, when it's good times, I know who I am. When it's bad times, I know who I am. When it rains, I know who I am. When it snows, I know who I am. When we understand with certainty who we are and how we show up, then the circumstances around us, we have a better opportunity to adjust. There are people who in the middle of the pandemic have thrived like never before. And I would argue the reason that took place was because they knew exactly who they were. There was an article this morning that I read that Peloton went and became $1 billion company as a result of what happened in the pandemic. There are some things, I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, Peloton is $1 billion company. Yeah, because y'all can't go to the gym now. So y'all gotta go work out at home. But they knew who they were. And when the opportunity and circumstances came, they were able to pivot unlike anybody else was. But it came back to who they were. They didn't know a pandemic was coming, but what they did know was who they were. And because they knew who they were able to go and make that adjustment. Tiana says Peloton has the best home gym plan set up. Yeah, listen, man, Junior, like, spit them facts. I got you, Junior. I got you, man. I'm coming with it. So when we think about this whole self-sabotage and we start to go and take these good opportunities and we automatically start to label them as bad things. When we automatically say, oh, that's not possible for me. Oh, no, that's for them. Oh, no. And you start to go and layer these things with self-esteem that is low, with high self-doubt. We start to sabotage. What ends up happening is we then start to question our self-worth. We start to question our self-worth because now all of a sudden, none of these opportunities are downloading. So I start to go and think I'm the virus. Ooh, that hit me in mi corazón. Like that, I felt that one, right? Right? Like what ends up happening is because of these things, because of the self-sabotage, because of the self-doubt, because of the low self-esteem, I start to question my worth. I start to think that I'm not supposed to get these opportunities. On a scale of 1 to 10, if those opportunities are 10s and I am thinking I'm a 1, I don't deserve those things. I don't deserve those things. And so when we start to question our self-worth, it ends up becoming like, man, if I'm worth nothing, it leads to self-hate. If we start to question our worth and think I have no value, well, then I hate something that has no value. And the question that we have to understand is, as we see this, there's a commonality between all of these. Can you guys put in the chat, what is everything? What is the common thread with all these things that we just finished talking about? Self-esteem, self-doubt, self-sabotage, self-worth, self-hate. Deborah said self, right? Self. The common theme, right? We look at it and we're like, yo, there it is. There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is, right? And we look at this and and here's the thing, and this is why it's so important for us to do this. It doesn't matter what the other people do for you. It doesn't matter if I esteem you. If I go and say, you know what, Tiana, listen, you know what, the way you were killing it on that one time I saw you on an IG live and you was just dropping them gems and just so conversational and stuff. I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but if Tiana doesn't think that she is that person, if she doesn't see herself in that way, Tiana will just go ahead and start to doubt herself. When the opportunities come, she'll say, no, I'm not with it, right? You will literally, Shauna will come and say, Shayna or Shauna will come and say, you know what, that opportunity's here. Let me go throw it in the garbage before I mess it up, because you start to believe your identity becomes, I can't make things work. So stop giving me things, because when I get things, I break them. You start to think like you're almost like a 3-year-old child when you give them a toy, you just know it's going to break. Don't go and buy no 3-year-old a $500 toy. The toy only going to have a lifelong thing of 5 minutes. He drop it on the floor or she drop it on the floor one time and it's done. It just evaporates. But the commonality is the whole idea is that we are at the center of all of these things. And if we're at the center of it, then that's where we have to attack it. My wife always says this. She says, Gio, when we need to address our problems, and we don't have too many of them, thank God, but when we do, the core of it, she says, we got to go and address the problem at the roots. I said, what you mean about that, babe? Like, that's deep. Like, break it down for me. No, we got to address it at the roots, Gio, because you can't go and get mad that the tree keeps on producing apples if you don't go and see what kind of seed you are planting. Were you planting apple seeds? Because if you're planting apple seeds, then what comes out of it is an apple tree. But if you want to go and change what comes out, what fruit the tree bears, then I need to understand what things are being planted. What things are being planted. And so when this idea of self, I want us to understand that, yes, we want people to help us. And yes, people should give you things like support you and to give you good feedback and to go and tell you you can do it and to tell you that I'm confident that when this opportunity comes, that you will crush it, that you will take advantage of it. But the one thing I want you to understand is that there is no amount of exterior affirmations that can override the affirmation of the one that's within. The one that's within, and here's a perfect example just for you to see this. Miriam says, I'm loving this meeting. Junior says, planting apples, yet we get mangoes, makes you think what's wrong. Exactly, you gotta go and wonder, what tree is this? Deborah says, I really need to hear this topic. Guys, I'm so glad you are here. We got so much more. I once heard a story of a gentleman who was stuck in a freezer. He was stuck in a freezer and he was trying to figure out, how do I get out of this freezer? And so as he sits in this freezer and he's freezing himself and he's literally dying slowly, he's thinking to himself, man, if somebody can just come and get me out of here, I would be rescued. If somebody would just come, please come, I would be rescued. And so one of the things that what happened was this person sat down and waited. And when somebody came to the door, after seeing that this person passed away, what's the thing that was the reality of this story was that when the person came to the door on the outside had no handles. You see, the reality was that the door from the outside could not be pushed to go and open the door. The only way the door was going to be open was for it to be pushed from the inside. And so what happened is, even at the outside, when I'm trying, the only way for that door to open was the door from the outside. I would have to pull it open, but the door had no handles. The only way for that person to have gotten out was for him to go and understand that the solution to his rescue was inside the room the whole time. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to understand that the solution and the thing you're looking for, what if the answer you've been looking for and searching high and low for was all along within you? What if it was in you? What if it was you when you're like, man, I'm trapped in this cell, and you're like, yo, come on, someone unlock the door, and you have the key in your pocket the whole time. and we looking to be rescued. And I wonder, man, what if the rescue part was that you who are listening to me right now, you have the ability, you have the potential to go ahead and help yourself. And what's crazy is what people do is when someone will help themselves, you will be surprised how somebody else will go and say, hey, let me come alongside you. You know, your homie, you know me. Let me come inside. Let me come next to you and say, yo, let me help you out. Miss Martinez, let me help you out and show you how to get there. But what's the thing that she had to do? You got to show up. You got to show up. When you show up and you bring yourself into the equation, you'll be amazed what happens. Guys, let me show you what this actually looks like. What does that look like, right? If I have 100 friends and we're doing multiplication, let me do a little math over here. I'm gonna show you guys. I like to go and switch it up. Guys, I've been learning how to play with these new tools, and I want to just go ahead and play with it and show it to you guys, right? Let me know if you guys see it real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna show it to you, right? You guys can see this? You guys can see this? Let me just know. Tell me, put a 1 in the chat if you can see this. You can see this? 1. Tiana said, Gio showing up. Tiana, I'm going in for the family. When we got family, I listen. Some people show off for the ops. I show off for the family. So I'm going to show for the family. So now here's what happens. We go ahead and we have all these people who we are calling and say, hey, can you help me? Can you help me? And so we end up getting this many people that are coming to help us. So you got 1 million supporters. You have 1 million supporters who are just out here trying to go and help you. But here's what happens, because I said we're doing multiplication. So what happens when self is not included, X equals 0. When self is not in the equation, it equals 0. Now in the chat real quick, can anybody tell me what 1 million times 0 equals? I see it in the chat. Ria, Tolup. My friend was named Tolup in junior high school. Justine, Felucio, Adrian, 0, right? So what happens is the reality is that even if everybody was on your side, if you don't show up, the result we get, no matter what, is 0. So we have to understand that, listen, I got to show up. And if I could turn this X, and here's the crazy thing. For some of you, you might be overwhelmed. And here's the reality. The reality is that maybe, just maybe, you've never showed up for yourself before. You've been running on fuel that was borrowed from somebody else. And the problem is that if you keep leaning on the fuel of others, all it takes is them decide when they run out, you out. When they run out, well, at some point I had friends, yo, thank you for giving. And when the giving stops, if you didn't start to learn to provide for yourself, you'll always be the person on the other side of a handout. And I'm not here to go and talk to people who want to just be people who are looking to receive. Leaders are the best givers, but the reality is that you must have something to give. Even if this X, guys, look at this. I don't even see where the calculator is. Even where the calculator at? Where my calculator? Where my calculator? Guys, I just got this. I don't know where it is. I know how to do math. Let's just pull this out. So if we go here and we go and we say, listen, we go and get 1 million, and we multiply that by point 0.00000001. Do you actually know that's a number? Like, that's actually a number. That's something higher, greater than 0. And so the reality is, right? The reality that we have is that if you bring yourself into the equation, we can set ourselves up for success. And the crazy thing is, when you start to do that for you, you are literally giving people the blueprint on how to go and help you. But if you don't show yourself, you ever had somebody say, man, nobody loves me. And my first question when somebody says nobody loves me is I always say, like, do you? Do you love you? Because if you don't love you, why you want somebody else to do it? They're like, yo, can you go and take me over there? Like, are you going to get on the bus? Or are you coming? Or you just want me to go there first? And so we want this idea of, yo, listen, I got to come and bring myself. You want an application? Hey, college is too expensive. Well, you have to come to the office or email the office, because we're in the times that we're in, and say, are there any scholarship opportunities? Are there any groups on Facebook that I could join? My friend has a thing called the Scholar Budget. Can I join that and find out what scholarship opportunities are available? Like, if you go and exercise and go and start searching and say, hey, listen, the name on that diploma when I am done with Hostos, when I go into my senior college and go to a 4-year degree, when I go and get that master's, when I go get that doctorate, when someone go and write me a check, I want it to have my name on it. Like, I want my name on it. And if you want your name on it, you got to show up. You got to come in. Justine ain't going to come out and say, yo, Gio, I'm going to go do some work. And then I'll tell him, Justine go and say, and I get the check. Justine go ahead and say, I'm going to do 20 squats today. Could you imagine somebody, you do 20 squats and I'm the one who get the nice legs? They like, yo, where they do that at? I ain't doing that. I do the 20 squats from my legs. And often what happens is we think this, well, if you keep thinking about yourself, isn't that selfish, Gio? And there's a quote, I didn't want to butcher it, so I want to let you know, there's a quote that I read. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. I said, ooh, wee. And it said this, taking care of myself doesn't mean me first. It means me too. I'm going to say that again. Taking care of myself doesn't mean me first. It means me too. So I want the best for you, but can I get that too? I want you to get that scholarship, but can I get it too? I want you to go get that job, but can I get one too? I want to go and find a husband. Can I get one too? Like I want a wife. Can I get one too? Self-care, like Denise says, is not selfish. As a matter of fact, it's an act of survival. We need it. It's like air. Could you imagine? I never seen somebody get angry and say, yo, hey, that's my oxygen. You can't get that. No, we all need it. We all need it. And so understanding that, like, I need you to go and be okay with getting yours, because that's self-love. That's loving yourself, the new concept after natural selection, right? Like, I want you to see, like, this is what it is. Denise, self-care is not a luxury, it's a priority, 100%. 100%. And it looks different for everybody. So, like, for me, like, one of the biggest things for me when it comes to self-care, I don't know about y'all, don't judge me. Don't judge me, but let me tell you something about self-care. I'm gonna show it to you right now. This is what I did right before I joined you guys. So let me go ahead, I'm gonna show it to you real quick. Right? This is what I had to do. This is what I had to do before I talk to you guys. This is self-care for Gio. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. This is Gio. Before I had to come and talk to you guys, Gio got to get him a strawberry acai from Starbucks, and I needed to be a Trenta. I ain't know the sizes before, but I needed a Trenta. I needed to be big. I wanted with light ice so that I get a lot of liquid and not all this watered stuff. I wanted in. Let me let Sandra in. That's my homie. Listen, I had to come in here because I'm like, yo, I need it. So the question I have for you guys is, when you have to show up for something, what is it that you need? When you have to show up, what is it that you need? I was talking to Janara when we was DMing on Instagram, and she was expressing to me, and I love her transparency, because at the core of self-care is self-awareness, and we're going to talk about that. And at the core of self-awareness is you being honest and truthful with yourself. And so she expressed to me, I'm a little bit nervous about doing this intro. And I had expressed to her, and I don't know if she did it. She could go and let me know and mute herself if she did it. But I told her, when you're nervous, what brings you calm? When you are nervous, what brings you calm? And so she told me there was a song that she listens to that brings her calm. So I said, before you come on here, listen to that song. Listen to that song, because that's what you need to get that nervousness to come down a little bit. I want to see in the chat, tell me, for you guys, what is it that you need? She said music. I want to know. I hear rain sounds and tea, right? So you go on that little playlist on your phone and you're going to say, I want some nature sounds. Afin, what is it? Afna says, I need to walk. I need to get my body moving so that I can go and do something. What else? Let me see it in the chat. Running. Chris says spiritual music and God. Justine says a walk or hanging out with the cat. Deborah says breathing deeply works for me, right? So when you had Lila this morning talking about mindfulness and talking about the different practices, maybe that's what it is. I see browse the net. Sometimes you just gotta check out. Y'all ever see y'all cell phones when y'all cell phones it's not working? Sometimes we just gotta do a quick reset. Sometimes I gotta go and plug it and just leave it alone for a little bit, right? It looks different for everyone. Kyle says, I need to drink lots of water. Kyle, I'm with you. Let me go do a little self-care right now. That tastes like Kool-Aid. So right. So like that old idea, meditate, right? I see it in the chat. I put my phone on do not disturb. To Tiana, I'm gonna tell you right now, putting your phone on do not disturb is the best retreat you could ever give yourself. And you know how much that costs? A free 99. That's how much it costs, right? Like you literally can go and start to unplug yourself from the world from doing those things, right? And so this whole idea, we won't ever do it. We won't ever do it if we don't understand the idea of we need to love ourselves. And one of the things I want you to learn about love is that I've been married for almost, dang, why am I messing this up? I've been married for 6 years, going on to 7. And one of the things that I never understood was I was like, yo, man, my love for my wife on November 23rd, 2014, when we first got married, was right here. I didn't know that it could go up to here. I'm like, yo, I kind of love you. I think I'm at my max. But as we started continuing doing life together, I started to realize there was things that I didn't know about her that I loved. I love the way that when I'm really low, you know exactly the right words to say or what to do to make me feel comfortable and all these things. Like, oh, that's such, you know what, girl, I love you more. Like I ain't even, the way you look right now, and you just sit there and you're like, man, I love myself more. And so for some of us, you might say, but Gio, my love tank is a little low. And I want you to understand that we about to fill it up. We about to fill it up. I'm telling you. The thing, what happens is we just are not aware of certain things. We haven't gone deeper with ourselves. One of the things I want to understand is for some of us, and maybe I'm just talking to myself, but you ever met somebody just, I'm dead at free 99, just doing that at night is so great, Suzette says, right? So this is big. You ever met somebody, let me just know if this has ever happened to you. You ever follow celebrities? I know we all follow, some of us follow celebrities and things of that nature. And sometimes we'll follow celebrities and we'll know the celebrity so much that we know what the celebrity is going to say before they say it. Anybody guilty of that? You know exactly the line they're gonna use. You know what favorite story Beyonce likes to tell. You know exactly what Michelle Obama is gonna say. You know exactly what chapter she's gonna refer to in the Becoming book. You know exactly what Cardi B is going to wear for her birthday. You know exactly what this person is gonna do. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? J-Lo, you see an article and it says J-Lo just went on vacation, and you're like, I know she went to Cabo. Oh, you know, she went to, you'll say that. You'll know exactly where they're going. But then the question comes, when we ask that question about us, ourselves, we don't know the answer. And I was like, yo, how's this possible? I will ask a whole grown up, not a little kid, a whole grown up, what's your favorite color? And they'll be like, And I'm like, yo, did I just ask a calculus question? What's your favorite color? I mean, what day is it? Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's red. It depends on the day. And then you'd be like, yo, whoever insert celebrity. What's their favorite color? Oh, that's so-and-so. They love wearing white. They love to wear white. And you're like, yo, what color you love to wear? I don't know what to wear. I don't know what color. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, but why not? Why do we know all the facts like you wrote Wikipedia? But if we got to go and write a bio about you, you're like, I don't even know. Gee, I don't know. Like, Tiana, I want you to write about yourself. Yanara, Martha, I want you to write about yourself. You're like, gee, I don't even know. I don't know. And it's like, but The one person that you hung out with for your whole life was you. And so, yeah, sometimes we may not know exactly the technique to write the bio, but you got to know something about yourself. You got to know something about yourself and think about it like it's your bio. How could it be wrong? If Tiana comes in, whoever, I'm just keep saying Tiana because her picture's like stuck in my thing. But if Andre comes through and he goes, and I say, yo, Andre, yo, what's good, man? And he's like, yo, I'm chilling. And me and Andre, we got an affinity about sneakers and things like that. Me and him, we bond on that way. But if I go and start talking to him and he starts telling me I don't know, what do you mean? You know, like, yo, Dre, what's the last sneaker you got? I don't know. Dre, what's the last sneaker Kanye West dropped? Oh, he dropped this one. Yo, bro, you don't know your last sneaker and you be knowing all the whole calendar for the year on what Yeezys is about to drop? I need you to know a little bit about you. This is the whole idea of self-love. I want you to start loving yourself more. Learn more about yourself. And when you love something, it leads to this part. You will give more care to something that you love. Tell me, I want to know in the chat, name something that you love. For me, I just got a new car. I love me that car. So it gets a car wash and I get the nice car wash. It get premium gas now, right? Nobody allowed to eat in it now. I'm taking care of the car. Hey, I'm hungry. That's cool. Go eat outside the car because I need to take care of the way it looks on the inside, right? Jessica says, food for me. I see Chris says biking. Tiana says my 10-step skincare routine. Tiana, you better go put that on IG and go share with the people now. Geronimo says a new book. I love that. Sleeping, says Deborah. Sandra says, I love singing. I know you do. Praise them. Justine, doing art. Kamaludin. Oh, I love that name. At the end, I need to know exactly how to say that. Studying. That's so powerful. Layton says, loves doing smart things in cartoons. Denise, workout routine. Andre, drawing. Vania, I love to read. Vania, you know what? I love to read too. And you know one of my books that I love to read? That one, Vania, right? Vania loves to read. Glenda, crafting. Junior said, I love to read and novel writing. Fatu says, learning new things. Jessica says, laughing and hiking. Cooking, says Martha. Traveling, says Cindy. Understanding my newborn. You need to see, good luck with that one. That's going to be super fun because every day I heard is a new one. Suzette says, I love listening to music. Denise says Netflix. Isabel says cooking. Marlia too says, I love shopping. Me too. Don't you look at my Instagram account. My Amazon. I love spending time with my family, says Janelli. Football, says Isabel. Eating. I love sleeping. All right, perfect. So you think about this idea of like, when I love, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I care. I care about these things. And all of these things should be designed to help us. How do we go and use that for yourself? Because one of the things that I've realized is this. When you are at your best, you do your best. When you feel your best, y'all know what I'm talking about. When y'all gonna put on that one outfit, when you put it on, y'all know that one shoe, when y'all wear it, you like, can't nobody tell me nothing today. Like, right? Marlitu's like looking at me like, yo, you better stop. Like, you saw my closet? Like, right? Like, you look at that shoe, that sneaker, that shirt, that jacket, that hat, that for me is that cologne. That cologne, when I start spraying it, I'm like, I dare somebody to come around here and say, yo, where that came from. Now I'm talking about like that break the neck, like, man, this smells good in here. Like whatever it is for you, we all have that thing. But the thing is, we need to know what it is and what does it do for us. That's where the self-awareness part comes in. Deborah says, when you feeling yourself, saying, I'm sorry, not sorry, right? But yeah, you need to know what does that look like? And when you know what that look like, then you can go and plug into it whenever you need it. I'm not telling you to go and be full of yourself at all times because people don't want to be around those people all the time. But sometimes when you're about to be on a job interview and we need you to show up on a big way, you need to be able to tap into that. I want you to go put in the chat real quick. What's that song y'all listen to that gets you and puts you in a whole mood? I just want to put it in the chat. Some people need some new songs on their playlists. Put in the chat real quick. What's that song when you listen to it? Oh, nobody can tell you anything. Little Baby, All In. Pop Smoke. I want the song. Jay-Z, Hello. What else? What else? There are so many. Pop Smoke. Imagine that. Oh, Lennon, John Lennon, Dolly Parton, All the Country. Amazing Grace. How sweet this sound. Denise, you be stop looking at my playlist. Renegade is my jam. Like, don't judge me, people. I feel like I'm gonna run through a wall when I listen to Renegade. Who else do I see? Your Mind Still, Young Blue. Or Bleu is how you say it in French. I Believe I Can. Anything by Lecrae. Superwoman, Damaged by Her. Yes, Pop Smoke, Joy to the World. Like, guys, like, you need to know these songs. You need to know If I Rule the World, says your homie, right? Like, I want you to understand, like, we need to know those songs so that on that day, when you know, and y'all know we be feeling this way, where you got to go on another Zoom for class and you like, I ain't got no energy. I'm so tired. You need to know at that moment, yo, let me go and play this song real quick. Let me go. That song is like your Red Bull. That song is like your Monster Energy drink. Your song, Shauna says, Fuji's Ready or Not. When you in that, I'm about to take a test and I'm nervous, you need to go and play Ready or Not, Here I Come. And you let that test know by playing that song that I am coming for you, whether you are ready or not. I'm going to show up whether I'm ready or not. And you just start to download and listen to these songs and let it minister to you. Let it go and drive and be the gasoline that you need to go and take you from where you are now to where you want to be. But all of this is self-care. And here's the thing I want you to understand and why I wanted you guys to write this in the chat. Everybody have a different song. JQ said it earlier. Self-care is the best care, but it also looks different for every single person. Some people, This Girl Is on Fire, Alicia Keys. For other people, it's Ready or Not, Here I Come, Fugees. And for some people, we might have the same song, but we may not like the same part. That's how different we are. Where you be like, yo, you know what? I like when Lauryn Hill sings that part. And somebody else goes, but it's when Nas come on that it does something for me. It's different for people. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what is it for us? What's your self-care routine? What do you need to show up at your best? What makes you feel good? Understanding those questions will change the Deborah Hamilton playlist. Oh my gosh. The mixtape. If y'all haven't heard the Hamilton mixtape, Hamilton will have you thinking you could do poetry, you can act. Like, I was sitting there saying, I'm going to be on Broadway tomorrow morning. Like, I literally thought I was an artist when I heard Hamilton. Like, it was crazy. But this is the things that you guys have to know. So don't just put it in the chat, but remember it. Put a bookmark in your mind to say, when I'm down, what's my go-to? And when I said the question, when you're down, I really meant it, because at some point in life, you're going to be down. Something is going to happen that you did not expect. Where do you go, though? And the problem is, when we don't ask these questions in advance, and here's the thing about self-care that I've learned. The thing I've learned about self-care is that self-care can't be something we put at the end. We have to put it before the problem, because if we look for it when the problem arrives, it's too late. I'm going to say it again. Self-care needs to be something that is pursued proactively versus something that's pursued reactively. Reactively means situation shows up, I now go searching for the problem. I need to fix it now. Versus having it almost like an insurance policy, an insurance plan, and saying, when something comes up, this is gonna happen. So these songs, these images, these rituals, these routines, whether it's walking, music, exercise, essential oils, massages, meditation, whatever that looks like for you, you need to know. This is where the self-awareness parts come in. You need to know what that actually is. This is me, the greatest showman. Stop, you're gonna make me cry. The Greatest Showman. That one. This Is Me. And if y'all look at it on the YouTube, oh my gosh, I cried for like a good 2 days straight. Because I was looking at that lady sing the song This Is Me, and when she took off her glasses and started dancing and stuff, I took off my glasses and I started dancing. And my wife was like, because I had headphones on, she said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I wasn't by myself because of how powerful the music was." But you gotta know what does, and Denise says she will give you goosebumps. The question I have for all of you is, what gives you goosebumps? What gives you goosebumps? What makes your hair come up if you got hair on your arms? What makes your heart beat a little bit faster? What wakes you up besides coffee? What wakes you up? As leaders, there's a quote that says, a candle never loses its flame lighting another candle. And the idea behind that is that we should always try to go and help other people out and support them. And don't think about, oh, just because you help them, you're losing something. You're not going to lose your fire by lighting up another candle. But the one thing that I think that quote is missing, and one thing that the quote is assuming, is that you, the candle, are already lit. What if you, the candle, is not lit yet? What candle can you light up if you yourself don't have light? I'll never forget my pastor one time. He said, Gio, one time I was going to McDonald's, and guys, ladies, I don't know why y'all do this. I don't know if guys do it too much, but I see a lot of ladies sometimes do this. I would tell my wife, and this is something like this, where you ever wonder, and put a 5 in the chat if this has ever happened to you. Maybe it's not even if you're in a significant other. It might be like a good close friend. And you will ask them, hey, I'm about to go to so-and-so restaurant. I'm about to go to McDonald's real quick. I'm going to go and get me a meal. You want anything? And they say, nah, I'm good. I'm good, right? I'm good. I don't need anything. And then when you come with your stuff, they want some. That ever happened to y'all? That's just me. Put a 5 in the chat if that's ever happened to you, where you're like, yo, hey, good. Like, I just asked you, do you want anything? Nah, I don't want anything. And the minute I come with my stuff, your hand find a way to come in my bag. I just asked you. Vania says, that's me. I'm gonna pray for your husband, because when he ordered that large fries, Vania, he intended on eating a large fries. He didn't know that Vania was going to downsize the fries to a small or a medium because you wanted some. All right. So my pastor was talking, and he says, Gio, do you know when I have no problem giving my wife the fries? I said, no, I don't know. When do you have no problem? He said, I have no problem giving my wife the fries when I'm full. When I'm full, I'll give her the fries, no problem. I have no problem. And here's the thing. Maybe the reason why you are having a hard time giving love is because you ain't got none. Maybe because you were missing self-love. The self-love was running slow. Like if you was going to a doctor and they drew the blood and it came out with a report and it said, oh, you know what? The line says self-love. Ooh, you deficient in that. You need to go and take that vitamin for that. You running low on self-love. And what happens is when we start to have these deficiencies, what happens is everyone around us also starts to suffer as well. So even though you're thinking by putting others first, you're doing them a service, you're doing them a disservice if you're putting yourself last. Let me say that again. If you are that person, and if you're on here, I know you care about people. I know you care about people. You would not be on a leadership academy. You wouldn't be an ambassador. You wouldn't be coming on here on every session if you didn't care about other people. I know you care. But the thing that we have to understand is that sometimes the greatest level of care is when you are able to go and continue to develop yourself, love on yourself, and out of the overflow of your love for you, you know how to love. And now because you know how to love, you know how to give love. But if we are learning deficient on our self-love, then the type of love we're giving is still not the best love we can give. I see over here, pastors be preaching and spitting bars, says Chris. That's deep, says Junior. SL deficiencies are a large problem across the world. Junior, absolutely. That's true. I recently learned that, says Hamdia, right? It's so important that we understand that out of an empty, we can't pour from an empty cup. That cup got to have something in it. If I got a little bit of water, and Abdul wants something to drink it because he thirsty, and this cup ain't got no water in it, I don't care how thirsty you are, but if this cup is empty and I try to pour, listen, I know maybe Jesus could do some, turn water into wine, make things out of nothing. I can't do it. I can't get you no water from an empty cup, Abdul, or whatever, right? But if my cup got I got something in here, Abdul, you know what? I'll give you half of this, man. You thirsty, I'm thirsty, we both thirsty. Let's do it, man. I can give it to you because I got something in here. But if this is empty, Abdul, listen, the best intentions ain't gonna be able to help you. The best intentions don't help. And so I want us to understand self-awareness. Please think about that. If we know ourselves, we will know how to love ourselves, and we will know how to show ourselves care in so many different ways. But it's rooted into self-awareness. I need to know me. I need to know, when does self-doubt creep in for you, Andre? When does self-doubt, I want to see some more faces. Hold on. Let me go and stop the share. I need to see some faces. I see my family in here. Hold on. Okay. Fatu, I see you. I see you, Brian. I see you, Chris, Suzette, right? I'm going to go to the last page. Carolina, Shane, I see you. Isabel, Jared, Charles, Stefan, right? Like for you, I want you to understand that we got to know these things. We got to know these things. At the end of this presentation, my only job here today is to get you to feel that you now have permission to seek yourself, to go and feed yourself, to love yourself, to care for yourself, and to understand that it is not an act of selfishness. It's selfish, yeah, it's self, but it's not selfish, right? That's why we're talking about all these selves, but self-doubt, when these things creep in, self-sabotage, all these things, when you're self-aware, you start to know when you're gonna mess stuff up. You're gonna know. I would have self-sabotaged if I didn't go and tell, yo, JQ, can we go on at 10 o'clock this morning and test out the audio to make sure you sound okay? And then we tested it and we realized if I don't make him the host, then you won't be able to hear him at all and it sounds weird and stuff. But that's me trying to prevent myself from self-sabotaging the presentation. So what do? I now create, because I'm aware of what I will do when I self-sabotage. I start becoming a bad person. I'm no good to my wife. I'm not a good friend. I start going and hating on people on social media. Subliminally, I'll be looking at their posts. I don't say nothing, but I'll be like, who you think you are? You think you somebody? And I put out that negative energy, but it all was rooted in me not being aware of my self-sabotage and what happens as a result of it, and putting things in place because of this awareness so that I can make sure that I don't go there. That's a level of self-care. And like I said earlier, you do that before the problem comes so that the problem doesn't come, or that you don't succumb to the problem where it overwhelms you. Let me get a 7 in the chat if this is resonating with you. I just want to make sure that I didn't lose nobody. Let me get a 7 in the chat if you're like, Gio, this is hitting right now. Keep on going. I just want to make sure that I'm not driving west and I'm on the bus by myself. I see the 7s coming in the chat. Okay. I love it. All right, perfect. I like what I'm seeing here. So at the core of self-awareness, since you guys have given me permission to keep on going, we're gonna keep going, diving in. At the core of self-awareness, right? I want us to understand that self-improvement is all we're seeking. We're not seeking self-righteousness. We're not seeking self-perfection. Perfect does not exist. Improvement is always available to each of us. So what does that look like if you're a student? I got a C in that class. You can improve. Your potential is not fixed. I want you to have that growth mindset to understand that I can improve, I can practice, I can get a tutor, I can go and hit up somebody in the chat who's very good at it and say, hey, can you help me with this? I don't really understand. Can we jump on a Zoom call real quick? And you can just explain to me real quick. And sometimes for some of us, we learn not by hearing, but by seeing it. And for other people, we learn just by hearing it. I don't need you to show me nothing. If you just tell it to me once, it goes in one ear and it stays there. But for some other people, if I tell it to you, it goes through this ear and it goes right out the other one. And sometimes you need that physical. So some of you said earlier, I need to walk, Gio. But music don't do it for you. You need to move your body, right? So sometimes that's what happens, right? So you want to understand that. I want you to understand self-improvement is at the core of you developing yourself. You want to personally develop yourself, right? You want to go and look in resources, tools that you can use to improve yourself. That's taking classes. That's joining clubs. Even in the virtual setting that we're in right now, don't let that stop you from having the most you could possibly have. Instead of saying, oh, I can't join a club because we don't go in person. I want you to go and say, how can I still make this work in spite of the circumstances? Take those circumstances as opportunities and to challenge yourself to become more creative on finding the solution. Those roadblocks do not mean roadblocks, and I'm saying this specifically, are not dead ends. I'm gonna say this again. Roadblocks are not dead ends. Speed bumps are not stop signs. When you go on a speed bump, it means slow down. It doesn't mean stop. And so I want you to understand that when we are working on these things, whether it's in our classroom, whether it's growing our leadership potential, because some of us, we are literally new leaders. And then there's other ones in this room who are emerging leaders. I want you to understand that you should never stop growing. I love the fact that my dad just started to learn how to use emojis. Now, if he sends me a GIF, I might just have to go and throw my phone. Like I ain't ready for the GIF though. Like if he sent me a GIF and my dad just started saying, Gio, that was really cool, and sending me something with the Millie Rock, I might just have to change my phone number because I ain't ready. I ain't ready. But I love that he's always trying to learn. He's retired, but he'll go to the library and learn Photoshop. I'm like, Dad, why are you learning Photoshop? Because I like to learn. He understands that at its core, self-improvement is continuously learning, becoming a lifelong learner, even if you don't know when you're going to use it. And you'd be surprised that a moment will come and you'd be like, Dad, I didn't even know I was going to need this. But yo, I do know how to do that. And and then you get great joy out of it. And then you start to get excited. And that's the things that, again, when I say when we're proactive and we have a self-improvement plan, I've talked about this in the past with some of the leaders. You need to have a self-improvement plan. What's your level up plan look like? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What shows are you watching? And also, what stuff are you stopping? What shows are you going to stop watching because it doesn't improve you? What songs you're going to stop listening to because you don't like the energy that it puts you in? What stuff that you're going to stop? It's not just about starting stuff. It's also self-care, stopping some stuff. Sometimes, I don't know, put a 5 in the chat if you use social media a little bit too much. Like, you need to put a 5 in the chat if you're like, yo, Gio, I ain't going to lie to you. You know what? My social media, oh my goodness, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have any limits. On my phone, I put limits for my social media, and sometimes I still hit ignore. I'll be like, ignore 5 more minutes. Let me get 5 more minutes, please. And then I'll hit it again, right? What are some of those things that you're going to give up? Junior says, what items you're using to give yourself self-improvement buffs? Is that a question? I'll take questions at the end, and I want to ask you guys questions too, so I'll answer those. But I see the 5s, right? Like, I want you to think like social media. So now I want you to think about social media a little bit differently. How do you use social media versus letting social media use you? Like, how do you use it? Do you use it for research? Use it for entertainment? You don't want to be living on social media. You want to go, yo, you know what? I've been having a long day. I had back-to-back classes. I need my brain to just get a little 20-second timeout. I'm going to go on social media real quick, and you start putting time limits on the social media so that it doesn't overtake you. That's you being in control versus social media saying, hey, Justine, hey, look at all these things that you like. You remember these? And then what happens is Justine comes and says, wow, look at the time. I didn't even notice, like 3 hours later, I'm still here on Instagram. And you start thinking about it, you're like, Dad, I could have sworn I had a paper to write. Shucks. Like, I wish there was a 25th hour in a day. Like, you like start thinking all these crazy things because of that. But if you start thinking about what is it going to do to benefit you, it will help. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand about self-awareness. At the core of it is curiosity. Curiosity. Curiosity is at the core of you developing yourself, self-care, self-love. You want to go and ask questions, people. Questions. Curious. They always say curiosity kills the cat. But I've always told people curiosity may kill cats, but it's been the root of a lot of inventions. People saying, and y'all tell me, put a 7 in the chat if you were one of those kids who used to always ask why to your parents. Yo, we got to do this. But why? Right? My niece does this. Christine, I see the 7s flood in the chat, right? You're like, but why? I'm like, yo, Brielle, you need to go over here. But why, Uncle Gio? And sometimes what happens is, unfortunately, we have told some people, Junior says, my mom hated it. Sometimes we have put muzzles on children because we've told them to stop asking questions. But at the core of it, those are the things that unlock so many things that we weren't aware of before. Our minds expand when we ask these questions. I'm not doing it, kid. Tiana, there's a reason for everything, says Denise, right? So you think about these questions. And so here's a couple of questions I want you to go and think about. I want you to start thinking about these questions right here. These are just some of the questions, some of the questions you can ask yourself that can help you to go and get some more level of self-awareness. I'm gonna say them out loud. And you could pick one. I'm gonna say it out loud. Pick a question that you would want to ask yourself, and then I'm just gonna ask some brave people to share their response. But let me just read the questions out loud. These are questions that can help to cultivate that self-awareness culture within you so that you can grow, so that you can be certain that no matter the circumstances, that you are able to win, position yourself to succeed. So here's the first question. How do you currently feel about yourself? Now, that could be a dangerous question because sometimes we currently don't feel good about ourselves. But here's the thing. The truth will set you free. And so if you don't feel good about you, like the other day, 2 days ago, I started feeling like my body felt heavy and I felt like, oh man, like I don't feel good, like physically. If I was in denial or decided not to go and be truthful, then I wouldn't be able to adjust to change my circumstances. You see, awareness is just a tough pill to swallow, right? It's the truth, but when I'm sick, I want to take the pill so I can be healed. JQ talked about that earlier. Self-care, healing yourself, dealing with the problems and issues we may have. So how do you currently feel? I love that it says currently. It doesn't say, how are you always going to feel? So if you feel sad today, that's fine. That's what you currently feel. Own the truth, and then we can go and ask follow-up questions to know, well, what can I do to change how I currently feel so that how I feel in the future can be different? Another question, do you engage in activities to escape reality? That question might go and say, yeah, I do. Like, I don't like being by myself, so I love being around people. So that because when I'm by myself, I have to face my reality. So I love to go around people so that I can escape that reality. And the question and this is why it's so good to have these questions. This is why we want to have diaries and journals or somewhere to go and write down your feelings and your thoughts so that you can have a place to check in and take self-inventory over the things that you're going through, right? So you can learn and improve. Yes, Junior. Right? So when you think about, do I engage in activities that escape my reality? The question also could be, what's your reality and why do you always feel like escaping? That's a good question. Why do you always feel the need to escape? Tiana says, I currently feel that I often hold myself back. I want to work on letting go and moving forward with my leadership, my personal and my professional growth. Here's the beautiful thing about what Tiana did. And I want you guys to have that same courage to go and post how you're feeling right now, because that's a part of it, right? When she says, I currently feel, the amazing thing about owning the truth is that when you own it, you have the ability to direct it in another path. But when we don't own something, what happens is it always owns us. And when it owns us, it gets to take us wherever it wants to go. And that's a scary place because it really doesn't care where you want to go. And so owning it, saying like Tiana says, yo, I be holding myself back. That's an honest thing. So I love the fact that, so let me go and read some more questions. What do you think you could never ever give up? What can you never give up? Do you believe every thought you think? Who or what always makes you laugh? Was there a turning point in your life? That question is a powerful one, because if I had a turning point in my life and I went from a bad situation and it turned around, it gives me hope that when another bad situation comes, it can turn around too. How do you spend the majority of your time? Taking inventory. If you start seeing that you're spending 7 hours on Instagram and then you go and look back and say, I don't have time to do any of my homework or any of my assignments, by taking inventory of how much time you're spending, you can make adjustments and say, maybe I'll cut my Instagram in half to 3 hours instead of 6, so that I can use those 3 hours for something more productive or for another goal that I have, right? Do you feel inspired by someone or something? That's important. Maybe Alicia Keys inspires you. Maybe it's this person who inspires you. Maybe it's your mom who inspires you. I'm inspired that my mom, even with a bad hip, would be able to still go to work at 60 something years old and not let her pain stop her from her purpose. Oh man, that's powerful. I'm inspired by that. So anytime that I need a little bit more inspiration to go overlook my pain, I need that, right? Maybe it's my friend who's going to be speaking tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Make sure you join in, Jessica Janier, when she starts talking to you. She has an amazing book, a company called Look Up and Beyond. I'm inspired by the way she looks up and beyond. So when I see her look up and beyond despite her circumstances, I'm inspired by that. And so anytime I need inspiration, what's Jessica doing? What does Jessica have to say? I'm inspired by that someone, right? When we talk about what was the last thing you purchased? Well, for me, what was the last thing that I purchased? I don't remember. Well, it was a Starbucks drink, right? Right? Like I found joy in that. So now you're like, okay, well, if I find joy in something that I purchased, then I can attach my job to that, because the job provided me the income, so I have the ability to purchase it. Do you see how that question now can take a job that you didn't like, but because you remember the last thing you purchased and you remember the joy that it brought you, that now you can reposition the way you look at your job? And you could understand that, yeah, I may not love the job, but the job provides me an income, and the income allows me to have the opportunity to have some purchasing power. And as a result of the purchasing power, I'm able to purchase something that brings me joy. Now, all of a sudden, the job that you hate a little bit less. And this is where, that's a level of self-care, people. It all comes full circle. Like you could literally make this stuff work. And so we have all these questions. So I just want to go and just take an opportunity. I want you to go and whether it's unmuting yourself, I would love for you to go and unmute yourself. I want to hear from you. I've definitely tried to talk a lot, but I wanted to make sure you understood the value of this. But what question on this screen that you would love to just go ahead and share? And the reason why I want you to share is because one of the things that is troublesome when we have these kind of presentations is that we will download information, and there's a thing called information obesity. Information obesity. I wrote this in my book. Information obesity is accumulation of information that you do not use. It's the same thing with physical obesity. Physical obesity, somebody's overweight, right? That's just calories they took in that they didn't use that led to the weight gain. So I don't want you to have information obesity from these presentations. I want you to apply it. In other words, burn the information, put it into use so that you can go and get something out of it. So Denise says Geo's Gems. Yes, Geo's Gems, right? So that's the book. So anyone, feel free. The questions is on the screen. Let me know what question you wanted to answer and what was your response. If you're more comfortable putting it in the chat, put it in the chat. But I really want you to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. Unmute yourself. Tiana, you did answer one. Somebody else, give me a question that you see on the screen and what's your answer? And again, this is self-awareness. The cool thing about self-awareness is the answer key is yours. I can't tell you the answer is wrong when it's you who are the one who comes up with the answer. That's the beautiful thing about it. It's a test you can't fail. like there's no wrong answer. Did somebody unmute themselves? They want to answer a question?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. Who's talking?
This is Junior.
Junior, go ahead, man. What's the question?
Do you engage, the second one, do you engage in activities to escape your reality?
Yes.
I would say yes. There's many activities I do to escape. I would say, well, you can call it that, I guess. I play games. I read.
Mm-hmm.
I read manga, watch anime. You know, the common thing, I would say.
No, it's
Well,
good.
now it's common.
Yeah, and so Junior, my question to you is obviously those things serve a purpose to allow you to escape your reality. Which is good, knowing those things, right? So that anytime the reality becomes overwhelming, you now know, where can I go? Dad, I'm so stressed out and overwhelmed with the pressures that I have as a student, as an employee, as a worker, as a brother, as a friend, as a person even. And when you overwhelmed by your reality, you now know these activities. Could you imagine someone who has no clue what activities they would go to if they needed to escape?
I'd feel bad for them.
There you go, Junior. You nailed it. And so we should always, all of us should have our little box, our little list of where do you go? What do you do when you need to escape your reality? Now, here's the thing though. You don't want to live in an alternate reality, right?
No, you don't. You want to stay really planted into this one.
Yeah, you want to be planted into this one. You don't want your alternative reality to become your home. You want the escape to be a hotel. You check in, you get what you need,
out.
And then you check out, right? You don't want to be like, hey, because if Junior come all of a sudden and say, Gio, I need to escape my reality, and Junior starts playing video games all day long, there's another reality that Junior might be missing that might actually be more fulfilling than the video games itself. I want you to understand that it's much more powerful to create a reality that requires no escaping.
That's very difficult.
It's difficult, but let me tell you this, Junior, and I want everyone who's listening, when Junior is talking, I'm not only talking to Junior, I'm talking to all of us, because in us, there's Junior. Like, we all want to escape our realities and stuff. And so one of the things I want us to understand is never confuse difficult with impossible. Never confuse difficult, challenging, yes, seems impossible, but it's not. And if we think difficult is impossible, we'll never make the attempt. And it's in the attempt that we're able to go and download some lessons that would allow us to make a better attempt in the next time. So Junior, thank you for sharing. I appreciate you doing that. Let me go in the chat. I see it in the chat. I see, I think it's the name, Aridinia.
Junior, your audio is a little off.
Somebody's audio is on, so just put mute.
Denise did raise her hand though. She is next to speak.
Okay, got you. Let me just read this one. The turning point for me was coming to this country, having to start from zero. It was a tremendous challenge. Now I would love to, and that's so key. I love that you're aware of when that happened and the awareness of starting from zero and the fact it was a tremendous challenge. My follow-up question, and this is the cool thing about questions, we could keep playing the game. Every question has another question in it, but if you don't ask the first one, you don't get the second one. And the deeper we get, the more solid our foundation becomes as a result of asking these questions. And so I love the fact that you guys, I'm seeing there's so many messages in here. This is so good. But I love the idea of knowing that you have to start from zero, because I almost wonder, and I want you to just write in the chat, what was that like to start from zero, and where are you now? So where are you now after having gone from zero? Let me see if I can see your response. Please post a response in the chat, because I think it's super powerful to know what your turning point is, but to also understand the turning point also is a connecting point to another destination. And so the challenge was tremendous, but in our ability to overcome the challenge, we get to go and leave the challenge behind, but we get to keep the tremendous part. And we get to remember that I am tremendous. And so now no longer does a challenge overtake me. I will overtake the challenge because I am tremendous. I am awesome. I am someone who can turn zeros into ones. I could turn zeros into fives. Like I can start from ground zero and make something. That's an amazing superpower to be aware of. The scary thing I have for people in this room is for you to have a superpower that you didn't even know you had. If you don't know you had the superpower, could you imagine you Superman and you didn't know you could fly? And you just decide to walk and try to save people and you don't ever get there on time because you didn't fly. Like for you to have that ability and not use it is something else. And so that's super, super important. So let me go ahead. She said, thank you. You very welcome. Let me go and see Denise, unmute yourself. I want you to go next.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, talk a little bit louder.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so I answered, was there a turning point in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer to that is pretty much there have always been turning points in everybody's life, because life is all about growing. So once you grow, it's like you turning a new page. So to the answer that yes, there has been many turning points in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I try not to stay comfortable, because when I'm comfortable, that means I'm not growing.
Ooh, that's very true. And so what do you do with that information, knowing that that is true for you? How does that help you when you face future things?
I just write it down and repeat it to myself over and over.
I love it. I love it.
You know, there's another question here that says, that I feel like it kind of goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you face changes?
Yeah.
And every time, like I at one point I used to be a creature of like
Habits.
Like everything had to stay the same, and that comes with a little bit of OCD. But like I had to always, and I know you probably gonna know this. Some people might not know this, and it's kind of funny, but I don't know if you ever watched that video, Who Moved the Cheese. So
I got the book somewhere laying on the floor right there. Yeah.
So I always had to repeat that to myself. Like when something changed, okay, who moved it? So I already know that, if somebody moves something, like, basically moving the cheese is moving something that is out of your comfort zone, and you have to go back to get back to where you want. So basically that's what I always used to, say to myself, who moved the cheese? Like I had to, get off my comfort, because if something changed, that means I was being too comfortable. So I had to keep reinventing, what I was doing.
I love that, Denise. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think this is powerful. Like the book, Who Moved My Cheese, I believe is written by a guy named Spencer Johnson. And the idea is when you know these things, and this is where books can become a resource for our self-improvement plan, for our self-care, for our self-growth. And it'll ultimately be, when we grow, when we become more aware, we will love ourselves more, because you start to reinvent yourself and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do all this stuff. Like, wow, like this is amazing. So I'm glad that you shared this. Let me respond to Deborah in the chat who wrote, who are you inspired by? She said, I am inspired by my father. He brought 3 kids to a new country to start a better life, and he worked hard to provide for the family, sending 2 kids to college and 1 on the way to medical school. He then went to school, back to school himself, to continue learning and bettering his life. Like, look at, like, wow. So when you think, oh, well, I can't do it, you start to look, because you take this self-inventory, you start to become more self-aware about yourself and your surroundings. You start to realize, well, if my dad could do this and go to a new country, start from scratch, bring 3 kids, put 2 in college, 1 in medical school, and then go and say, you know what, I believe in education and learning so much so that I'm going to go and do it myself. How does that help Deborah? Like, Deborah, thank you so much for sharing that. Like, when you know who you're inspired by, it helps you. You can borrow that person's energy and say, oh, I'm going to go and get to where I need to go, and I'm just going to channel the same spirit of my father. Like, that's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me see who else is in here real quick. Tiana said, such a dedicated and devoted father to his children is dope. Absolutely. Denise had her hand raised. I saw that. Guys, if you're going to raise your hand, let me know. We'll do that. We'll get a couple more people, and then I'm going to land a plane and then take some other questions if you may have that. But Suzette said,
so Abadu is gonna go first, then it's gonna be Afnan, and then Yahomi's gonna go third.
all right,
So
perfect.
we have 3 people already who raised their hand who've been waiting to speak.
All right, perfect. And I want you guys to speak, because again, I'm hoping that this one has inspired you to want to go and seek out your self-care in this magnitude. So I want to make sure you have that opportunity to do that. So let's see, Suzette, how do you currently feel about yourself? She said, I feel better about myself now than I have in a long time. Ooh, I'm holding more people accountable for their actions toward me, and more importantly, creating boundaries. More than anything, I'm choosing my peace over any and everything else, which is something I've fought with for a long time. Guys, I don't know. I need somebody to go and put an 8 in the chat for, the 8 stand for amens and hallelujahs and oh yes and snaps, and you better say that. Put an 8 in the chat, because Suzette is talking right here. Like, oh my goodness. Like, Suzette, you see these 8s? Like, you ain't playing. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, okay. And here's the crazy thing, Suzette, is that somebody would have said, oh, Suzette, you selfish for putting your own peace as a priority. But the thing is, what good is Suzette if she don't have these boundaries so that Suzette could be the best Suzette? I don't want to be around Suzette if she ain't at her best. I want the best Suzette. And if Suzette needs the boundaries to be her best, then Suzette, get you some boundaries. Suzette, get your boundaries, because I want that version. Even as a company, if I was a company and I'm hiring Suzette, I want Suzette to have boundaries. I want Suzette to make her peace a priority. I can't give her that peace. She knows what she needs. And so I love the fact, Suzette, that you put that as a priority for you. That's super big. Chris says, graduating high school and now Hostess my 2nd year, starting from the bottom and reaching new heights. Yes, awareness. You graduated. Chris says the cool thing about graduating. When you graduate, you became a finisher. You finished high school. So now the cool thing is you can start whatever you want, because you now have this new identity as someone who finishes what they start. Super cool, Chris. That's dope. Glenda says, language barrier was a challenge. You know what I love about what Glenda said? Was a challenge. Was. That's a past tense, right? Like, and you can continue to make that barrier become smaller and smaller to the point where it's no longer even present and slowing you down. Tiana says, I love your share, Suzette. I felt it. And that's the powerful thing. Suzette, we felt it. It wasn't just words. It moved us. And so thank you for sharing that. Cindy says, I love this book. Janelle says, what was the turning point in your life? Yes, moving to the United States when I got married to start a new life. Go back to school, and here I am 4 years now. I'm studying, working. It wasn't easy at the beginning, but I did it. Janelle, like, that's so cool about I did it. I did it. I did it. It wasn't easy, but I did it. And so they always say that the people who are, you having the ability to go and do hard things is what's going to make your life easy. There's a guy who says, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. So Janelle, you being able to do that, your life will be easier because you were not scared of the hard that was before you. So congratulations on that. Carolina says, the turning point in my life, there was 2, giving the birth to my daughter in 2019. Congratulations. Made me view life differently and allowed me to open my mind into all the new things that I'd be able to do in this new chapter and role. The second one was April 28th, 2020, the day that I watched my dad die via Zoom in the ICU. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. it was my first experience with death in such a distinctive way. And I ended up not scared of dying, but scared of not living my life to the fullest. I still am working on it. He is a big inspiration, but my first step was to get a job that would allow me to continue to being able to stay at home and at the same time provide for my daughter. But I also returned to school, and I'm currently back into at my third semester. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Good, guys, give a 10 in the chat for her. Like, that's so good. Like, thank you first of all for being so open and transparent and sharing that your truth. You didn't have to, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who may have dealt with somebody passing in 2020, and to hear you see the way you are looking at it, despite the fact that I'm sure that it hurt and probably still hurts, you were able to find something in it to pay homage to your father at the same time, and use that as motivation to position you to be at home with your daughter, go back to school. This is inspirational stuff, man. Wow. All right, so perfect. So Tiana, just help me out with who's going next. I see Abdul is first, Afnan is second, and then Yonomi is third. So Abdul, go real quick. And I see Vania, your hand is raised. I see that too. Go ahead, Abdul. What was the question you answered? Abdul is still here?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
so
I'm still here. When my question was, when did you last feel disappointed?
okay. What was your answer?
Yeah, my answer is yesterday. Yo, yesterday, you know, I am a father. My daughter is 26 years old, right?
Uh-huh.
And she is already doing her last term in nursing, doing her bachelor's
Okay.
in nursing. And me, I started, with going to college.
Yeah.
Hostos in 2018.
Uh-huh.
But what happened is yesterday, I was all the time planning to buy a car.
Yep.
So I found one to buy that I wanted to present to the family. But all of a sudden I said, okay, now if you buy this car, where are you going to park it? So I called my landlord. The landlord told me, oh, the garage is full, I'm sorry, and you have 5 people ahead of you in line.
Yep.
So now I said, okay, how am I going to explain this? Then I started roaming around my neighborhood. I went to garages and I asked, they will be telling me, oh, these private garages, they will be asking me, they will be telling me, oh, we charge per day.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I said, I would like to have per month. They say, no, we charge per day.
Uh-huh.
And a day is like, $15 for 24 hours. And then $12 for 12 hours.
Got you.
I calculated this thing, it add up to like $450
Yep.
a month.
Yeah.
Because it's not all the time that I'm even going to use this car, So
Correct.
I need a private parking lot where it's not that much expensive.
Yes.
So now I am disappointed by myself with the aim that I was having to, please myself and the family.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I look at the circumstances around it, and I cannot buy a new car and then just go and dump it in the streets for parking. So this is my disappointment that I have, yesterday. And now I am even contemplating and trying to think how to explain this to the family,
Got it.
Yeah, so that is it.
Got it. Yeah, and the interesting thing with the disappointments, and it's when we deny that we're disappointed, we're denying a real feeling that we have. And it's like, I am disappointed, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to be in denial of it. And so, yes, that is a reality. What I would say is looking back at another disappointment and seeing how did you approach it, so that you can go and probably leverage it to go and help you with the disappointment that you have now. And again, timing is everything for a lot of people. I remember, it's funny you said that about the parking garage. I had the same problem and 4 people was in front of me. And then a year or two later, it came for me to get the new spot, and it was at that time the perfect time, and so for me. So don't be discouraged. Disappointed, yes, but don't stay there. Don't stay there. But thank you so much for sharing that.
Afnan is next.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Afnan.
Yeah.
Afnan
I
is
think
here.
I
Hello.
have the same question.
Uh-huh.
When did you last feel disappointed? It was in the end of the spring 2020 term.
Okay.
It was my first experience with the online classes, and in this time, it was the first time to take a regular credit classes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm an international student, I have high school diploma from another country. I feel that I'm stuck. I start to try to keep going and make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I dropped 2 classes and I followed with the other 2 classes. In the end, I get A in both of them.
And you got an A in both of them?
Yes.
There you go. Right? Like, it's making that thank you for sharing that. Like, I think what happens is when we are disappointed, we download that as failure. And when we have failure, we think failure is final. And sometimes the thing that's a trick that almost gets us stuck every time. It's like, oh, I failed, or it didn't go so well. I didn't like the way my GPA is looking from a semester. And so we think it's final. But when you're like, hey, maybe the disappointment is to set you up for a greater success, but it just requires you to look at it differently or to adjust. And so the fact that you were able to go ahead and adjust, and you could see in the chat, people are giving you the congratulations because you went and you chose, let me figure out what's good for me. Let me go and adjust my schedule a little bit so that I'm able to position myself, set myself up for success. That's absolutely amazing. Congratulations to you for making that adjustment and getting those 2 A's. That's beautiful. I see. Keep it up.
Next one is Jaomi.
Jaomi, are you here?
If not, then Bania.
All right. So
Naomi, call her name again, because sometimes sometimes people don't hear their names.
who's next?
Jaomi.
Jaomi, you here? All right. If not here, who's the next person?
Bania.
Bania?
Vania.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, Vania. Got it. Okay. Vania, got you. Vania, unmute yourself and share your question and answer.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so my question is, do you believe every thought you think? And my answer is no, because some of the beliefs that I had were limiting. So I no longer believe the old belief systems that do not serve me anymore.
Wow. Like that's so powerful to think about. Do you believe every thought, right? Ria says that was good. Denise says facts, right? It's like these thoughts that once would go in, it had a place reserved, right? Like there was a parking spot for those thoughts. Now it's like, hey, you can't park here no more. Like this spot is occupied with this new belief system that talks about different things, right? That we're not limiting, that are not holding you back, for lack of a better term, right? So that's super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like, do not believe. And it also encourages all of us to realize not everything we think is true. And also, we also need to question, who thought was it really? Guys, put a 5 in the chat if you ever had, like, you don't ever get to a point where people keep telling you so much stuff, you don't know who voice it is anymore, right? You be like, yo, hold on, is that me? Like, you be hearing it, but if you slow down the voice, you're like, yo, that don't even sound like me. who this? And then you start to realize, yo, that wasn't me. That's that hater over there, or that's the person who never believed in me. Of course they would say I can't do it. I almost wonder if some of us, the self-doubt we have, it's somebody else's doubt in us that we downloaded and we think it's our own. I'm gonna say that again. I wonder if the doubt that we have is the doubt that somebody else had and they gave it to us. And we were like, well, this is mine. And so now it's self-doubt, but I almost question, and this is why we want to become more aware, because when you ask these questions, you can get down to the root of what it is and realize that was not me. I didn't say that. So Vanessa says exactly, we have to kill those ants, automatic negative thoughts, yes. So Denise says Miriam is next, and I know we're wrapping up, it's 3:55. I can't believe, I hate like these times we going fast so quickly. I'm like, yo, what you mean? Like we just started. Like what you mean is already 4 o'clock? Like this is crazy.
Yeah, for the purpose of time, Miriam will be our last share.
Yes.
We can wrap up and give closing statements and all that. I know
this is why we need
sessions and whatnot.
Yeah, for real. Thank you, Tiana, because we be here.
No doubt.
And then I'm gonna miss Chicago PD at 9 and stuff.
LOL, I can't.
You know what I'm saying?
I was talking.
Go ahead, Miriam. Go ahead.
Hey, hello, everyone.
Hello.
First, I would like to make a comment about what you said right now. It's true. Sometimes when a person tells us something so much, we end believing that we thought about it and it wasn't really our opinion. It was that person's opinion. But when someone repeated over and over again, we really believe it. And that's really bad.
Yeah. And this is why it's so powerful to ask the question, because when we start asking, who said that? Right? Sometimes we don't think we have time for self-care. We don't have time for self-aware. But if we could slow down and just take 5 minutes and say, who said that? And you realize it wasn't you, you can throw it in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, you know what? I don't receive that. Like you can't stay here. That don't smell right. Go over there with that. Right? So what was your question that you had?
My question was about, the one that I chose was about the childhood and the happiness. I really believe my childhood was the best one. I see that all of the other questions was like questions about things that you disappointed and things like that. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not gonna choose none of that because that's like common questions. But I really like the one of the childhood because now kids don't have childhood. I remember because I was raised in Dominican Republic, I was playing with dirt, making my own house. I did a lot of things that kids can't do these days. And I'm like, they don't know what is having a great childhood. They don't know what is having fun. They don't know what is going outside and pass from 7 a.m. in the morning into 12, playing with natural things that we will never think about right now to use. And it's like, I believe, for example, I have one kid right now and I see her playing with her toys and everything. And I'm like, I don't think this is a happy childhood. Because if you cannot be in nature and play with things that nature give you, you're not enjoying life. You need those things. You have to get dirty. You have to know what is getting caught with a brand of a tree or something to make sure you have fun.
I love it. I love, somebody wrote, I grew up in Africa, it's the best. Sandra says facts, right? And it's like, what does that childhood look like? Like, you know, what was those experiences? And I think sometimes what happens, and I'm glad you shared this, and I'm glad that you were the last one too to share this, is the idea of sometimes we're scared to be self-aware and ask the questions because sometimes, more often we're asking questions of our past, and a lot of times we think our past is negative, like, oh, get over your past, just look into your future. There's nothing back there, so don't look over there. And it's like, yeah, but what if my childhood was good and I can find hope in the good? Like, what if I go and say, wow, I did have a good childhood, and you can hold on to those memories and create them as well, right? So that's super important. Sandra says, girl, I'm Haitian, and trust me, Gio and I couldn't understand it growing up. Yeah, I get it. Like, I get the whole growing up as a Haitian person in my childhood. And I even look back at my childhood. I've been on lockdown from 0 to 29 years old, and I used to hate it. And then I look back at it and I'm like, man, what if my parents is protecting me from all these other things, right? So I have things that I can say about myself that I've never experienced. And I think it's because what my parents saw inside of me was something worth protecting. But in the moment, if I'm going to be honest, I hated the whole lockdown. But now I understand it now that I'm 36 years old, right? But it's like looking back, I start to realize I wasn't deprived. I had a dad who took me to go play basketball every other Saturday for 12 hours. Like we played basketball from sun up to sundown and he never complained. We had a halftime and we ate McDonald's. He went to McDonald's and bring it to us. That's not the best halftime food for basketball. But I was grateful and fortunate as a result of it. So guys, like this has been absolutely like crazy. I thank you guys for rocking with me. I see like literally we almost had like 97% attendance from 2 to 4. Like you guys always hang out with me, always track in with me. Thank you so much for hanging out. If this was helpful, just let me know in the chat. Like, was this helpful? Like for you to just understand the value of you taking care of yourself and understand that it's selfish, but it's not selfish for you to go and put yourself first, and not first, but for you to go and put yourself into the equation, for you to say, me too, I too am important. Yes, your needs are important, but I got needs too that also should be fulfilled, right? So I thank you so much, guys, for checking this, being in here, chatting, participating, asking questions, answering questions. I see great information. This was great info. It was incredible. Thank you, Glenda. Are you welcome? Justine, you welcome. Cindy, you welcome, right? So are there any questions? And I want to just post this. I got this thing. I created this thing just for our family here. It's called a Geo Self-Care Kit. Now, again, it says Geo Self-Care Kit. This is not an intention to say this is exactly what you should do. I just want to give you an example of what a kit could look like. And the same way, like when we go and we're driving or we're going camping and we have an emergency kit, you have the emergency kit in the event something goes wrong or in the event an emergency happens. And so I want to share with you guys in there, I'm going to give you lists of songs, suggested books, and also there's a personality test that I think would be amazing for you to go take so you can learn more about you. And again, let me just say this very carefully. Do not take personality tests and think they know every single thing about you because of a test. The test that you take online and all this stuff is educated guesses to help you use as a guide so that you yourself can go ahead and explore, examine, experiment, and then go ahead and come up with your own solutions, your own answers. So again, when I share these tests with you, or when I share these books, when I share these songs, these are merely suggestions. There is no one way to do self-care. I want to make sure that you guys customize it for something that works for you. So here's how you get the, put a 1 in the chat if you want the self-care kit. I just want to make sure first, because I'm going to create it for you guys, but I want to make sure you want it. Just put what number did I not say yet? Put a 4 in the chat if you want the Geo Self-Care Kit. Let me see a 4 in the chat. I saw 1. My bad if I said 1 before. I see 4s. All right, so here's how you can get it. And for those of you who are not on social media, we'll figure that out. But here's what I would like for you to do. What I want you to do, we're going to take a group picture. Jason be good at these things, and he always posts them. I want you to take a picture, your screenshot. You know, we talked about selfish. I want you to take a selfie with your phone and your computer screen or whatever you're using to go and watch this right now. And I want you to post your favorite gem from today's session. Whatever your favorite gem is, your favorite, right? Your favorite. Maria says, amazing presentation. Thank you so much. My pleasure. You're welcome. I want you to post your favorite gem, and I want you to tag Geo, Derice, tag also Hostos, SLA, so that they can get it too. And I want you to post it on your Instagram, post it on your Facebook, tag us in it. Tag us in it. This is going to be kind of like, I know y'all probably have attendance and stuff because y'all already registered and stuff, but use this and I'll know that you wanted the self-care kit. Now, here's the reason why I'm not just giving it to you. I want you to remember the illustration I shared with you earlier. The man was in the freezer and he could have done something himself to get himself out. him not taking any action of his own stopped him from getting the thing that he needed, which is the escape that he was looking for. So I want you to go and do something, take action, be proactive versus, oh, well, he's going to send it to me anyway, no matter what. So take a screenshot, share what was your favorite gem. I don't care if it's JQ's rap. I don't care who's your favorite gem. I'm not biased. But tag myself and tag Hostos, SLA, Student Leadership Academy, on there, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, we'll find it. And I will follow up with you. I'll get it. And I'll find out, I'll get your email, your Instagram, your social media, and I will send you the kit with the books, the songs, and the personality test that you could take so you could go ahead and find out more about yourself. So is that okay? If you guys understand or understand the kit, how to get it, just put a 2 in the chat real quick. If you have a question or you don't understand, put a 3 in the chat. So 2, I see 2s. If you're confused or something, put a 3. I see 2s. Everybody's on the same page. We're good. Lethan says a 3. If you have Fatu says a 3. Well, those who said 3, you may not have social media. Is that the reason why you're saying a 3? Just so I could know. Glenda says 3. I see some 3s now. It's so crazy. Like once a number comes up, it becomes the most popular number. It's like a lottery number. So I see 3s. So we'll follow up. But anyone who sees it, yes, tag. You could tag either one. Tag Derice, tag Hostos SLA. You see it on the chat. Janera is putting on there so you can see all the social media handles. You can just go and add it. You just put the words at or whatever in your post. Oh, how to tag. Right. Got it. So when you take the picture, you post it on your social media, you can put at and the handle, Derice, or you could put Hostos SLA. That's how you could do it. All right. So just want to go ahead and explain and answer that question. Hopefully that does answer the question. But guys, that's my time. I thank you guys so much. Jason, thank you so much for always holding down the fort and creating these opportunities for us to go and connect. This is an amazing group. It never fails, continues to grow. And as long as you guys continue to want to have me back, I will always be here.
Thank you, Gio. Thank you for having us and a great, 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 great workshop.
I appreciate you.
Yes. I wish everybody could give Gio a virtual applause.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, my voice is going up and down because I have a bit of a sore throat. That's why Denise is closing out the workshop.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you very much for always being here for us. I mean,
yes, sir.
Gio has been a great supporter of the work that we do, and he has come and brought some unbelievable, thought-provoking, stimulating workshops to our group, and he does it with the love of somebody who really cares for the organization. So I truly appreciate you, Gio. Thank you for being here. I think you rocked the house. I think I said you were going to rock the house. And you set up your buddy tomorrow morning to rock the house.
My buddy, yeah, he's talking about self-sabotage, so it's going to be awesome.
So Denise, I'll let you close things out, but just reminding people about tomorrow, and I will see you. I'm trying not to talk as much as I possibly can, so I'll be up to good tomorrow. So Denise, you can close us out.
Definitely. So I would like, guys, I would like to thank you all for coming today, and please don't forget, there are opportunities to join the SLA. We'll be actually sending the information. It's actually up right now on the chat. You could become either an ambassador, emerging leader, or a student orientation service team. There's many opportunities for you to grow. Just remember that when it comes to growing, sky is the limit. Also, if you are interested, there's also opportunities for SGA. There's actually senator positions available, and you could either ask some of us here. I see the new coming president is here as well. You could always give us send us an email or ask us about how to follow up with that. Please don't forget, tomorrow 10 o'clock we have a great presentators, also at 2 p.m. Please register so you could have your call on time and we could sign you in. Okay, So I will thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And once again,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gio.
Thank you,
welcome.
Denise.
Later,
Thank
y'all.
you, Jason. Thank you, Gio. Because we
Welcome,
Bye. Have a great day.
Don't forget my glass of water.
Oh, yeah.
See you guys soon.
Later, y'all.
Bye.